Fog Entertainment back again with another movie review, and we're looking at James Cameron's Avatar, The Way of Water 2022. It took years to make this bad boy. It is the sequel to Avatar. And of course, let's get stuck into it. Recently seen it in the theatre last night. It was 3 hours. It did feel an awful long, and I'll just address that. Did this movie need to be 2 hours and like 58 minutes? No, I don't think it did. I mean, like the fact they're making like he's already filmed the third and the fourth one. Does that not does that not automatically mean that we don't need them to be this long? Like, why did it need to be 3 hours? Like, there's so much stuff you could have cut. There's just so much like needless stuff that happened. Like, they should have gave more time to the Colonel Quaritch. But no, let's show meaningless shit with kids that we don't really give a fuck about. You know, some stuff I didn't like, some stuff I did like. Was it as good as the first one? There's elements that are superior to the first one, and then there's elements that are just way worse than the first one. But, you know, I like the fact it's like there is a bit of a time skip with Jake Sully and his wife, the Avatars. They have four kids. They've got Duke, or Took, whatever you want to call her name, man. Took, Dookie, Dookie, Wook. Kiri Sully, which is played by Sigourney Weaver, but is weird because she's the child of the actual character that Sigourney Weaver played in the first one. So again, wee bit weird if we're being honest, man. Come on, Scooby Doo. Then we've got the other two kids, Loic and Nitayam. So aye, that's all good. Like those two, we've got four kids. So basically, automatically, you go into this movie with six members of the Sully family, and I'm thinking, one of these guys have to die. But then we see Colonel Quaritch get awoke, and he's with the rest of his team, who of course perished, but they did get their memories saved and stored, so therefore it could be put into avatars. And it's explained to them that you're basically going to be in the prime physical element of your career, so to speak, here with all your military experience, which makes you think, like, how did these guys lose so many battles in this movie? Like, honestly, like I know Jake Sully's hardcore and his wife's pretty hardcore, but I mean, half of his crew get wiped out by Jake Sully and his family and Spider at the start of this movie. Like, literally, I'm not beating around the bush here. Like, literally half his crew gets wiped out, which I wasn't a fan about. And it turns out Spider, who's a pretty big character in this movie, is actually the son of Colonel Quaritch. But of course, Colonel Quaritch is dead. You know, he is dead. But the Avatar lives on. Well, he lives on through the Avatar, so to speak. But yeah, we've seen him crushing his skull, which I thought was a really good image. But then we got like an hour into the movie. Jake Sully goes to, like, of course, he's like the leader of the forest people. He goes to them and he's like, right, we have to leave because they're after us. They're no after yous. But again, that's just a stupid mentality, because we see later in the movie where when Colonel Quaritch and like the Sky people, so right, they go after him, trying to track him down, and they clearly, like, they just lay waste to everything that's, you know, that they think is actually hiding this guy. It's like, and then he fights them anyway. It's like, what was the point of fucking going on the run? Of course, the point of going on the run is so you have a different sort of movie, and it's like taking place in the water, right? So I get that. The movie's called The Way of Water, which brings me to the next point. We got like an hour into this movie, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, it's called The Way of Water, and we've had nothing to do with water. Thankfully, we did get to the water, because when they flee, they basically join the fish people, the ocean people, whatever, the ocean side. Hell no, it's not that awful group for The Walking Dead. It's this. So, boom, I like this stuff, and then they can't really fit in because they're forest people, and then Tunawari, who's played by Cliff Curtis, is like, your people won't fit in. You're not built for the sea, for the ocean. Which I liked. Colonel Quaritch, though, him and his crew are getting used to being avatars, and they like take the like the flying creatures, the massive dinosaur looking bird things. Spider's also been kidnapped, and a few good scenes here between Spider and Colonel. Basically, he's admitting that he is his dad, but, you know, I'm not actually your dad. I've just got your dad's memories, and but like, I know what they were doing here. They're kind of set that up for, like, I'm kind of your dad, but I'm not really, for what they do later on in the movie, which I won't get to yet. But it's like, you look at him as if he's your son, and you can clearly see that. They stopped the wee kid getting tortured, even though he's like a fucking badass colonel, and he's not exactly the most emotional, and best father in the world. But you can clearly see that at this point. But yeah, then we spend like another hour on this thing dealing with the ocean people. The youngest son, Luke, he basically goes out to see with the other people after he got a fight into with the main ocean guy's son, Turnawani's son. They leave him out there, and then there's like a really there's like a battle scene of him against this massive whale. I can't remember what they're actually called. The Tukawani, whatever they're called. I can't actually remember. The big massive whale creatures, right? We know what I'm on about when I'm talking about them. But one saves him. It turns out he's the black sheep of the whales. He's a bad guy. But again, he not kill another one of his creatures trying to kill thingy here, or was this a completely different animal slash breed slash creature? I'm not really sure, but yeah, he gets the harpoon out of him, and then yeah, this forms a relationship between these two. But no one at the camp wants to believe. Look, they just want to think that the whale he's seen is a cunt and got his whole herd killed, so to speak, which is completely and utterly bullshit, man. Not fair. Not fair. Let's be real. He didn't get them killed, man, because we see when they connect their little fucking hairs together, whatever. I don't even know what you call that stuff. There's so much terminology for these movies. Like, unless you watch them like 15 million times or study it, like, how are you ever going to remember all this stuff? Like, you're just not going to remember all this stuff. Like, I can't even remember the name of the whales, for fuck's sake. I can't even remember the name of the language they speak or the creatures that they are, so that's why I just refer to them as avatars. I don't know. I feel like it's great as a concept as it is. It's very confusing. Like all you're really seeing is like from two movies that I've seen of it, what you're getting is like humans against aliens. That's really what you're getting, you know. And the aliens are the good guys for once. That is essentially what these movies are, in my opinion. That is what they are. But they can sprinkle all the complicated names and terminologies in, but no one really gives a shit about them. Like James Cameron may have spent 15 years creating this language, but realistically, he didn't really need to if we're being honest about it. But yeah, and then we basically get the final showdown because Colonel Quidditch is like, right, fuck it, I'm going to go in and wipe them all out till they give me Jake Sully. We also had like not really a cameo. The general in this movie is called, well, no, it's played by Eddie Falco, of course, Carmela Soprano on The Sopranos, and she actually said that she completely forgot she filmed for this movie because it was hot garbage. And this was what she said she filmed it like 5 or 6 years ago, which is fucking mad. Like that's mad. Like how long these movies are actually in production, but I man, they're making a third and a fourth one, and then basically we get the final showdown. We see how they kill whales and stuff, like the humans, the sky people, the marine biologists, whatever you call it. It's sad because the mama whale dies, and the wee calf beside it, and it dies, and it's connected with what's her name, Ronal, who's played by Kate Winslet. It was very sad seeing the wee whale die. I like animals, so this was definitely the saddest scene of the movie for me. Then we get like the final showdown again. Stuff like this is stupid. Like the colonel's like, right, Jake Sully, I want you, and I won't kill your daughters because he captures one of his daughters and one of his sons, and then one of the daughter of the main fish guy. And then it's like you can clearly see that they broke their promise here, even though the whale came in clutch and destroyed the ship, basically, like the good whale is friends with her son. I think it's just a bit stupid because like the colonel is turning around saying like, "Oh, I'll kill your daughters," and it's like, right, well, hold on here. They've just attacked you. You could just turn around and drop all three of them. You know, it's just plot armor like that. Like, why put yourself into situations where it's like, well, why didn't he kill them? And it happens like not once but twice. There's so many times where he could kill them and he doesn't. It's just like I hate stuff like that. It just devalues stuff. Because like he's got no leverage. There's no real reason why he needs to keep them alive. Like, well, the reason to keep him alive is so he hands himself in. But he failed to do it twice, and you kept him alive. Is what it is. But then we get like the final battle, which I thought was good. Well, not the final battle, but the pre-final battle where everyone's battling, and then essentially the boat is sinking. It's one of his sons gets shot. Nitiam gets shot while saving Spider and Loke. And yeah, he dies. It's a sad scene, but again, his wife, Jake Sully's wife, Neytiri, she just like it's the only level of acting she's got in this movie. Ah! It's what she did in the first one and this one. It's like, what are we doing here? We're doing Avatar or ping pong, folks. What are we doing? I'd love to know what we're doing. And then the Colonel's like, right, I've already killed one of your kids today. I don't want to kill any more. Are you ready to lose any more, Duke Sully? Final showdown between these two again. He could have killed them. But then Natalia walks in, holding Spider at knife point. He says, like, if you kill my kid, I'll kill your kid. He's like, I don't give a shit. And then he just gives him up. And it's like, all right, I see why he did it. Because obviously, if he says at the start of the movie, "Oh, I'm going to treat you like my son," then this point wouldn't have felt like a big surprise that he actually has feelings for his son. But I kind of guessed that this would happen. Again, it still looks a wee bit stupid. But then they have the final showdown. The boat is sinking. Jake Sully defeats Colonel Quidditch, but Spider goes back. He actually saves Colonel Quidditch, and then Loic saves his dad. And then we get the final montage of the movie. Da 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 da. Oh yeah. Did we like it? Did we like it? And then Jake Sully's like, we stick together. Sully, stick together. And I'm done running. So why'd you run, mate? Like he just comes to the conclusion of this movie. He's like, I'm tired of running. Stupid, but yeah, Spider saves the Colonel, which I think's fair enough. It's his dad, and he saved his life, even if he is a cunt. Yeah, I actually like that. Most kids would have been like, "Fuck you, Colonel," but I liked it. I liked that, and it did drag. I mean, I think you could have shaved easily an hour of running time off this movie, and it still would have been fine. I just think when you're sitting in the cinema, it's worse because you literally are just sitting there watching it. Like it's not like your house where you can do something else or whatever. I don't know, guys. But anyway, I gave the first Avatar an 8 out of 10, and I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. It's a very good sequel, but it's too long, and there wasn't like enough deaths to make you care. Like, yeah, their son died, but it's like, where's the heavy hitting deaths? It was fucking hee haw. And on that note, guys, 7.5 out of 10.